me. I have another compilation for you guys today. This has kind of become like the new routine as of late. On average, I'm doing like a compilation every other month, and it's been so helpful to give me a little bit of extra wiggle room for my more time-intensive projects, because you know, art takes a lot of time, and editing, when you do it crazy, takes a lot of time. So anyway, I'm doing a compilation, and I thought since it's summertime, I would go ahead and do a compilation of my only unofficial but kind of official summer series that I've done for the last... How many years have I done this? I don't know, 6, 5, 7 is one of those numbers correct? A few years I've done it, although I haven't always been consistent. I did miss last year's seashell painting video because I was really busy doing that thing called having a child. But I have done painting on seashell videos several times over the years, and so I thought it would be cool today to... This can be a great source of inspiration if you want to try painting on seashells yourself, and if you needed access to every single one of my painting on seashell ideas that I've come up with so far. You're welcome. I'm gonna start from the oldest one and then move to the most recent one. So let's get into my first ever painting on seashells. I'm going to be painting seashells. This video came highly requested after I posted my room tour, and I showed you guys my little box of seashells. I've had this box of shells in my life for a really long time. I think like 6 years or so. I did collect these seashells from the beach. Well, most of them.
Apparently I bought that one for 99 cents.
Also, what the heck is that? Back in the day, I decided to start painting them in very interesting ways, since, you know, they kind of all look alike. Also, just because I have a tendency to paint on everything. It's what I do. Here are all the ones that I pulled out of the box that were painted. Some of them I still kind of like. Love that. Others I want to like, but they're just kind of poorly done. Ooh, that blending. Is that really an apple? Is that really what I chose to paint? Why? But I know I had a lot of fun with these, and they do bring back memories. I have no memory of that. Oh, and I found these two later at the bottom of the box. I remember being obsessed with this one at the time. Kinda looks like the spreading of some sort of evil disease. Anyway, I still have this whole box of plain seashells, and even though these are naturally beautiful...
Honey, you don't even need makeup.
I think it's time for me to do what I do and paint these suckers. And I'm gonna be using this brand new acrylic paint. I'm at a introductory level now.
I'm that good.
It is an upgrade from my usual dollar store acrylic paint. I'm scared. Let's get started. I want to do a remake of this one because I still love rainbow. Some things will never change, but the paint job is just, it's not the best. Rainbow deserves better. So I'm gonna lay out my rainbow paint in a nice, fresh new palette, and I'm adding a buttload of white paint into each color because I like pastels. The green looks, dead. So I added a bit of the neon green to it to kind of try to bring it back to life. Stay with me. Breathe. He's alive! I don't know where that came from. I haven't seen a therapist yet. Okay, let me get to actually painting the freaking seashell. Finally, it's only taken me 6 years to get to this. I decided to make the rainbow going horizontally instead of vertically like I had it before. I felt like it would just flow better with the shape and the ridges of the seashell. I thought about just painting over that original seashell, but I don't know. I decided I just wanted to keep that old one because I'm a hoarder.
And also, you know, from memories.
I have no memory of that. My main problem with the old one was how choppy looking the blending was. I don't even know. Can you call that blending? I've had a little bit of practice with blending in the past 6 years, so I'm hoping I can do a better job now. You can't rush a nice blend. You gotta keep working it.
Work it, girl.
Until you're happy. I'm happy. Now I'm gonna protect the paint with some Mod Podge. While I'm at it, I had the brilliant idea to add a little glitter. I own a substantial amount of glitter and I want to start using it more. There's no reason why I shouldn't be using my glitter. See, this one's never even been opened. Oh! Oh no. This is why I don't use glitter that often. So the protective seal just kind of came off in the cap. This was not sealed for my protection.
I don't feel protected.
All I was trying to do is just mix some glitter into the Mod Podge just to give that shell a little extra. So I painted that on. The camera doesn't really pick up the glitter too well. It kind of just looks dirty. It is a little bit prettier in person. Then I used my Posca paint pen to add my little signature, and this shell is done. I think it came out really pretty. I think this is a big improvement from the one I did 6 years ago. Stop talking about the 6 years. For this next one, I'm gonna use a much different approach. I'm actually gonna paint a beach scene since it's a seashell from the beach. Yeah, it's not that revolutionary of a concept, but whatever. Since I seem to be so impressed with my past little wave, that's kind of cool. What? I decided I wanted to do something similar, but this time I'm just gonna do the whole ocean.
It's gonna look so cool.
It's looking a bit of a hot mess right now, but you know, that's often the case with painting. Oh my gosh, no. Opie! Things are real ugly in the beginning usually. You just gotta keep on going and it gets better unless it doesn't. That happens sometimes too. So, and that's my headphone cord popping in and out like that. And I'm starting to refine this a little bit more and get into more detail work now. If you're wondering what my process for making this kind of thing is,
Nobody cares.
most of the time when I'm trying to draw or paint something somewhat realistically, I don't ever just pick one picture and copy it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, if you want to do that, fine, whatever, I don't care, you can do that. I just get really bored doing that. So instead, I look at a bunch of pictures beforehand. Like for this one, I just looked up ocean photos. I get an idea of what the different textures look like.
How does the water look? How does the sky look? What's going on with that sand?
And then I use my observations to create my own unique beach scene just kind of out of my head. And that's how I do things most of the time. It's my artistic process.
Subject to change if I ever become a real artist.
Once the paint was dry, I of course covered it in a loving coat of Mod Podge to seal it for protection. Here's the final shell. I'm definitely really happy with how this came out.
It looks so cool.
And for some reason, I really like the inside of this one. I didn't really mean for this to be a complete like redo of the old shell, but it kind of was. So here they are side by side. You can be the judge which one is better. You better like the new one. Moving on to the next one, I'm gonna use my metallic acrylics for this one. Hold up, color shift? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I think it's just metallic. First, I gotta clean out this very dirty paint palette. Wow, nice. And here go my metallics. So I decided to make this shell mermaid themed, but nothing like outrageous, you know, I just want to keep it simple. So I used my metallic paint to create a background in like mermaidy colors. Yeah, notice the color shift paint, it looks no different from the regular metallic. So I still don't know what that's about. Once that dried, I went in with this silver marker, very creative name, and I'm gonna draw little scales on it. And if I could just stop blocking it with my thumb, that would be great. There we go. Even though this was a pretty simple thing to draw, I always get nervous when I have to draw without like sketching first.
Don't mess up.
So yeah, this came out really nice. I mean, it's simple, but really pretty, I think. I guess there's nothing about this that's like specifically mermaid. It could have just been like some random fish, but we all know it's mermaid, so whatever. So for this next shell, I want to do another kind of landscapey painting. I was trying to think of things that were beach or ocean related. Otherwise, I feel like my ideas just get a little too random. So I started this one with a
Blood smear.
And then I went in with a really deep greenish, bluish, blackish background. I just wanted to feel really deep and rich. Okay, it's looking pretty nice. And then I did that. Whoops. Why? It just keeps spreading. Eventually, I got the background under control. I decided I wanted to do a scene of lily pads in the water. It doesn't really make that much sense because lily pads are really more of a lake or pond thing. They're not really an ocean thing. So it's very loosely related, but still, it's more related than an apple. This one was definitely the most challenging challenging one that I've done. I was having some trouble with the lily. I wanted to like capture all of the detail that's in a flower like that, but it's such a small area to work with. It just kept looking blobby and blubby. What does blubby mean? And watch this. Whoop! I spent a long time off camera on that flower. I didn't even realize how long it was that I didn't have the camera on, and it changed a lot, but there it is. I added a couple little friends in the background. Hey guys! Hello back there! And the last little finishing touches. I think this one did come together pretty nicely. I'm still not 100% satisfied with how the flower came out, and maybe the lily pads could have been a little bit brighter. They kind of blend into the background a little too much, I think, but I do really like how dramatic it is and how the flower really pops off of the dark background. This last seashell has a darker color, so I'm gonna use some gesso on it. It is always the struggle to open this container. Oh gosh! I had to grow my extra 2 hands to get this open. Thank you. So I'm just painting the gesso on there. I wanted to do a white pearl metallic paint, which I happen to know is very, very transparent, so a base coat was necessary. It's a real gorgeous kind of pearl color. Oh yeah, duh. On top of that, I wanted to do some sort of metallic rainbow pattern using the ridges of the shell. The only problem is the ridges do get super tiny and then like start to disappear at the tip of the shell. So very quickly, my little stripes started like going off track and getting all wonky. Ooh, no. Then somehow I thought that doing this would help. Oh crap, this is not good. It didn't. So I ended up wiping as much of this off as I could. That's a death grip right there. I'm gonna start over. This time, I'm gonna do things a little differently. Well, still making mistakes. Whoops. Shoot. But this time, I started at the fat end of the shell and worked my way toward the bottom. I simplified the pattern a little bit. Some of the lines look a little wobbly, but that's just because they were made by hand by a very flawed human being. But I don't think it ruins it. I think the overall effect is still pretty good. I like this one. It kind of reminds me of like candy or a carnival or a clown. No. Not a clown. What I'm trying to say is I like it. It's very fun and festive. I didn't want to add my signature to the outside because there really wasn't a good place for it, so I added it to the inside, which looks incredibly stupid. Let's just not talk about that. So here are my 5 new additions to my painted seashell collection. Thank you guys for requesting that I do this. I had a lot of fun with it, and this was just like one of those projects that got pushed in a bin and forgotten about for 6 years. So thank you for taking interest in it and asking me to pick it up again. I'm really glad that I got to revisit this. Okay, so I'm just gonna start setting out my shell collection. Some of these are ones that I've been hoarding for ages, but most of the interesting ones were actually given to me recently by my grandma just for me to paint on, so thank you, Mima. These I definitely purchased like 8 years ago because I couldn't find anything other than ones like this on the beach. These actually look really pretty all together. Look at these. Those are freaking wonderful. These almost look fake. They're so perfect. An actual unicorn horn. Whoa, that's a color. You're pretty. And this one's my pet. But I'm gonna start with the one that is just calling to me. Shh, listen. Mariah. Did you hear that? This massive conch shell is a must. I've never painted a shell like this before, but it took me all of 3 seconds to figure out what I wanted to do. This is a hint. Okay, let's get into it. Starting with some delicious tan paint. And I'm gonna kind of mix together a, cone color. You'll never guess what I'm painting now. Ah, that's nice. I'd eat that. We have some old paint coming up from the bottom. That's color contamination. It's okay. I'm painting the bottom part of this as a cone because the shell is kind of in the shape of an ice cream cone. Kind of. A little bit. Changed my mind about that color though. It needs to be lighter. There. Who's hungry? Ready for some ice cream? Ooh, vanilla. Soft serve. Painting that on top. So I did look back at last year's seashell painting video. I am going to blur this old footage just in case some of you haven't seen it and want to watch it, so this insert really has no value. And I noticed something that deeply disturbed me about that video, and I want to take the time to address it. I didn't make a single dessert-themed shell. Not one. And I'm simply appalled. So I knew that I needed to make things right. We have to do a dessert-themed shell, and that's how this was born. Oh, that was weird timing talking about birth right there in that moment. Well, this will never look the same. Great, switching attention, Posca pens. I'm gonna draw on the cone lines, which I've already messed up on. Oopty. What's oopty? I'm pretty sure I did paint the last batch of shells. Maybe not before I got my Posca pens, but before my love of Poscas was, fully flowered. I don't know how else to put this. What a game changer these are. I was able to do so much more detailed designs more quickly with the help of my Poscas. Not sponsored, just obsessed. I'm adding some drippy chocolate along the top of the cone because chocolate makes things better. I wasn't trying to be creepy with that, but it really kind of was. Okay, and you didn't think I was going to not add sprinkles to this, did you? Because if you did think that I was not going to add sprinkles, then you were not correct, because I am. I also tried painting the top of the shell as if it's a cherry. I'm not sure how well that translates. It may just look like Rudolph the red-tipped conch shell. No. But then again, maybe it's kind of cute. Back to the sprinkles, though. Play the song. Alright, sprinkles are done. Adding another layer of chocolate, we're gonna be double dipped in a couple highlights here and there. And look at that, it's it's an ice cream cone. Final step, I'm just gonna add a nice protective gloss over it, and here it is, all finished. I'm holding it like it's an actual ice cream cone. Get your finger out of the ice cream, man. I think this is a very strong start to our shell painting adventure because I'm loving this. I did find a flaw right here, so let me just emphasize that. But, you know, shells have a lot of little ridges and bumps that makes creating super crisp lines very difficult. So overall, this is good. Back to the collection. Who's next? Another big boy. This shell was just made to be painted. It's such a large, flat surface. You could really do anything on here, which actually made it a bit more difficult to settle on a single idea. Eventually, I have committed to something that you do not know yet. The mystery. The intrigue. I'm starting out with that same tan paint, but this time it's actually going to be the sand because I'm creating an ocean scene. Wow, that mystery didn't last. I did something similar to this last time. The blur is back where I painted an ocean on a shell, but this time I'm trying to make a cartoony look. I don't want this to be realistic. Oh, more fun with Posca pens just popping out of nowhere. The ocean scene is just going to be my background, so I want to refrain from adding too many details. I say that as I draw like thousands of little dots. I'm gonna be putting some cartoony characters in the foreground, so let's keep this simple and cartoony. Alright, the beach is ready, the sun is shining, the waves are going. Who are we bringing to the beach? Is it a crossing guard directing traffic? No, that's actually Georgie holding a popsicle. And where there's food involved, you know who's gonna pop their head in. I don't know. It's Cousin Derp. He's always hungry. So these are both original characters of mine from past videos. Sometimes I like to bring them back and draw or paint them in different ways. I had such a strong temptation to theme one of my shells completely as a watermelon, but I've been trying to take a small break from watermelon and or strawberry themed things because I do those so often. But it's difficult. It's an addiction. I did allow myself this little bit of watermelon detail right there, and that's gonna be it. So if you don't know Georgie, he was born on November 29th. He's a pineapple duck, and he says hello. Now you know him. I chose him for this shell because I thought his colors would look really nice in a beach setting, and I chose to make him eating a popsicle because he needs some refreshment. I almost gave him a surfboard, which actually would have been really freaking cute, but I just had to work that watermelon in. I could have given him a watermelon surfboard. Why didn't I think of that earlier? This is actually good though because the food lures Cousin Derp into the picture. So Cousin Derp was kind of an afterthought, to be honest, but there was a lot of empty space on the right side of the shell, and I thought it might be kind of cute to have him just like creeping up on that popsicle, so I added him in there, giving this a nice thick glaze, and here's the final shell. I think this turned out so cute. I'm really happy with all the detail and the whole vibe. It's just so bright and cheery. It's Georgie, it's Cousin Derp. I just love it so much. Next, I'm gonna grab this one. This is me trying to slide it into the frame. I I just wanted it to land in the exact perfect center. Is that too much to ask? Whatever, I'm letting that one go. This one I'm gonna start by painting the edge tan. I've literally started every shell the same way. So as I was agonizing over design ideas for my shells, Jordan said that he wanted me to do a pizza themed one, so I'm gonna do that. I guess this is his thing because several years ago I forced him to paint squishies with me, and this was the one and only squishy he's painted. It's a pizza themed cupcake. So I'm noticing a trend here. Anyway, this one was quite tricky to paint because the ridges are very deep, so getting perfectly straight lines is not gonna happen, but that's okay. That's the look. Time for some toppings. My favorite is actually just classic cheese pizza. Some people say it's plain. I prefer the word pure, but Jordan loves all the toppings, so I'm gonna add them. Also, they do make it look a lot more interesting. And I'm gonna very messily put on that clear coat, and here's the pizza shell. The choppiness of the lines kind of makes it look like pixel art or something. It's kind of cool. Also, the glaze hadn't dried completely when I filmed this, so just try to ignore that there are still a few cloudy spots. They did dry completely clear eventually. Moving on, I had to choose this shell. It's kind of like the iconic shell, but this is the only one of its kind that I've ever had. I am noticing the edge is pretty jagged where parts of it have kind of chipped away, so I'm wondering if I can just... Oh! I was very nervous sanding this that I was just gonna break off a big piece because the shell did feel pretty fragile, but I just tried to be gentle. Okay, that's enough of that. Just take care of that dust, and I think that actually really did help. In fact, this will work splendidly for the thumbnail. So here I go, just dumping a whole bunch of paint onto this shell and posing for the thumbnail. Alright, that's done. I don't actually want to use these colors on this shell. Do I feel guilty for wasting all of this paint? Maybe. Which is why I'm gonna grab a random shell and use this to paint it. Luckily, these colors kind of mix together nicely. I don't really know what to do with this now. We'll deal with that later. I am gonna just toss the rest of this.
Goodbye. You were loved, and I'm sorry.
Once that finally dried up, I'm just gonna go over it with a white base coat, cover it up, and forget about it. And now I'm prepping my actual paint. Bloop, boop, poop. I wanted to create two variations of deep purple, but the thing is, I was completely out of my deep purple paint. Well, wait, that's actually not true. I have a completely brand new set of paint with all the purple I could want, but I still have a couple tubes of my old set that I wanted to finish before breaking into the new set, so I tried to use those to mix myself a deep purple. This was getting real yucky and real desaturated, so I broke down and used my fresh tube of purple paint. Dang it! Analysis of why I couldn't get a bright purple while using the paint that I had. The reason is the red paint that I had left was a slightly orange red, which means it contains a small amount of yellow, which is the complementary of purple, which means it will ultimately desaturate the whole color. So yeah, it wasn't really gonna happen. I'm lost. I'm gonna be doing a purple, pink, orange, and yellow color scheme, which I think is a quite pretty combination. So I'm applying these colors as stripes, very ugly, streaky stripes, and then just building up the layers to try to get nice, strong coverage. Shaky, 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 shaky. There we go. And from here, I'm gonna start blending the colors together to create a gradient. I do a lot of gradients, and I like to do it this way most of the time. It's just easier to be able to first worry about building up the colors, and then once that's done, blend them together, instead of having to blend every single layer, wait until the end, and then blend. Oh, a thing that I said that rhymes. I will say these colors did not turn out as wondrous and magical as I was hoping for. They're a tad bit muddy looking. It's not too bad. I can forgive it. Over top of my gradient, I'm just gonna go crazy and add dots and lines and create patterns. This is probably the most typical style of decorating seashells, but it always looks so cool. I was also kind of hoping to like brighten up the look of the background a little bit. If you're looking for a relaxing, therapeutic art project, this is the one right here. And it's finished. Oh, look at that shine. I am really liking this color scheme and the way it all looks. I think the pop of blue is really nice also. Very happy with the results of this one. It came out so pretty. All right, so remember this one. You didn't think I would just leave it alone, did you? So what can I do with a muted periwinkle background? Well, since this is kind of a bonus shell that I didn't even plan on painting, I kind of didn't think about it too much. I just decided to quickly paint some clouds on there, sure, and use some of my leftover paint to give them some shadows. And then let's just go ahead, let's add some rainbows to that. So yes, I'm trying to take a break from strawberry and watermelon, but why am I ignoring my true addiction? Why don't I take a break from rainbow? Because that may not be possible. Like if I tried to not do anything rainbow for like say a month, I might die. And I'm not really trying to die yet. I'm 25. No. Okay, no. Maybe I will take a rainbow fast at some point, but let's work on one vice at a time, okay? Strawberry and watermelon first, and then we'll talk rainbow. Potentially. Maybe. So there's that one. I think it's not bad considering I really did just kind of throw it together without thinking. I did leave purple out of the rainbow because the background is already kind of purple. Plus these rainbows were already getting real thick. This one is a little messier than my usual work, but I don't know, I kind of like it. All right, next. This one I have a bit of a different plan. I'm gonna paint on the inside instead of the outside. So starting with some light blue paint, spread that on in there. Oh, there's a hair. Come on, get out. Once I did get a nice solid light blue base, I'm bringing in my darker blue paint, taking a second to play in it, and then using it to create a little bit of depth, just kind of mushing it all together to create kind of cool underwater look. Ooh, that's pretty. And I'm using my Poscas to draw on an ocean floor, and I'm gonna be creating kind of a coral reef type of thing here, just adding and building up different colorful coral and sea stuff that I'm just making up. I added a black outline. Ugh. Hated the way I did that. I still went ahead with the black outline, but take it down a notch and outline a little bit less. And then I also added silver metallic outlines to certain things as well. And boom, just need to add the clear coat. Oh, that's frustrating to watch. This one was really quick and simple, but I think it came together nicely. It's pretty cool looking. It's like you're carrying a little piece of the ocean inside of a shell. Cute and mini. All right, hey, we're starting to thin out this pile a little bit. How about you next? Surprise, but not really. So let me admit, I wanted to paint this as a strawberry. I mean, let's be honest, wouldn't that have been really cute? But no, I had to come up with an alternative idea. I've painted it pink. I'm adding a second coat, and I just closed my hand around wet paint. Smart. I'm gonna add some darker pink at the bottom to give this a little bit of a gradient. Probably should have just left it like that. So what I'm trying to do now is turn this into a dragon fruit. I am sidestepping away from the strawberry, but it is still a pink and green fruit, so we're not going that far. Turns out they're not as easy to use for a design as a strawberry though, probably because they have quite intricate and very specific characteristics that are kind of hard to stylize. It's not like a strawberry where you can just paint anything red, throw a little leafy wig on it. Dragon fruit, not so much. They've got all this little stuff going on, but I don't know how well this is representing a dragon fruit. I tried. Usually I like to leave one side of the shell just like plain natural, but one of the coolest things about dragon fruit is the inside. It kind of looks like a Dalmatian. A Dalmatian in a dragon fruit costume. That's my next character idea. I claimed it.
Nobody cares.
Anyway, I wanted to incorporate the inside of the fruit because it's so cool looking, and I thought it might help to show that this is supposed to look like a dragon fruit. Honestly, not sure how I feel about this one. I'm holding it upside down. I don't know if I love this. No, I do. I don't love this. You can decide if you're feeling it or not. For me, it's just kind of weird. Sorry to end on that one, but that's actually the last shell I'm going to paint for this video.
And let's start with this one. No, this two. I mean, these two. I had an idea to do a set with these. They already kind of go together, so I'm gonna continue to make them kind of go together. Bringing out the paint, I've got a blue and a green here. Scoot, 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 in. And let's begin with the painting. This kind of feels weird, actually, not using gesso first. Kinda miss it. Gesso, are you there? My heart is longing for you. All right, finishing off the blue shell and getting paint all over my hands.
Painting is messy.
The base color is done on both of these, so I can start sketching out my design. Oh, excuse me while I pick paint chunks off my pencil. That looks truly gross. Every time I get paint on something, it's the brown paint. Paint on my pencil. Brown. Paint on my chair. Brown. And it's just a gross look. All right, finishing up the sketch. And bada boom.
It's candy.
A lollipop and a gummy worm. Generic nameless candy. Mini generic nameless candies. So for the other one, I'm going to draw the opposite of candy.
Fruit.
Actually, those are really not opposites. Fruit is very sugary as well. I guess I could have done a vegetable themed shell. Who wants to look at a Brussels sprout and cauliflower?
Nope.
Vegetables are just not on the same level of cuteness. Fruit gets all the attention, and vegetables are just out here doing their best. They're the ones who are truly nutritious. Next time, I'll paint a vegetable theme. I won't. All right, the designs are sketched out, ready to paint. Now, I will say this batch of seashell designs are a little different. I've done 2 full videos of painting on seashells at this point, and a lot of time I try to stay on theme, you know, painting the ocean, painting underwater scenes, mermaid stuff, or I just use the shape of the shell for inspiration, doing little patterns and whatnot. But today, I just kind of went off the rails a little bit. It didn't matter what I was painting on. I could have been painting on underwear, okay? I just wanted to paint what I wanted to paint today. The seashell just happened to be there. Look at that mango. Isn't it beautiful? Sorry, I'm distracted by its beauty. Now I'm going to add some shadows and details on top using my paint pens. I always appreciate how easy these things are to use, but at the same time, the color limitations always frustrates me as well. Like, I'm trying to add some red shadows on this cherry, but the red is not dark enough. Then I go to add some shadows on the lemon, but this orange is clearly too dark. The shadow on the blueberries is too dark. And it's just a lot of being constantly slightly annoyed and not being able to control the exact color. But I don't know if that's really bothersome for most people or if it's just me being overly obsessed. I think it still looks pretty good, but it does still need the juicy highlights. So let me add those along with some other various dots. Very necessary. And there's the fruit shell, but it's still incomplete without its soulmate. Switching to this one, it's candy time. So I'm painting with the same color palette so that the shells kind of go together visually. Oh, this lollipop. It's a mess. So ugly. I was looking at the shell the whole time while I was painting it.
Obviously.
Where else would I be looking? Why? Okay, never mind. I just had this feeling that something was missing, and then it hit me. I forgot to paint the most important player in the candy world. A freaking gummy bear, okay? Like, what? That just hurts. I feel like if you're doing a candy theme, you have to put gummy bears on there. So that's tragic, but we're gonna try to be strong. Now this is ready for some details to come in, bringing a little bit more life and dimension to this candy. This is really making me want to eat candy. Especially that gummy worm. Look at the size of that thing. Imagine just chomping into that. Yeah, the proportions of this are a little off. I've never seen a strawberry that's nearly as big as a watermelon, although that would be awesome. No, that would be disgusting. I don't know, one of the two. Oh, here's a nice mistake. I made the highlight on this lollipop huge because I was trying to cover up the mess that was going on around there, but it really just made it worse.
Catastrophic failure.
So I had to redo the lollipop and make the highlight less obnoxious. And okay, there they are reunited again, which reminds me of when I paint shoes. Oh, this would be a cool shoe design. Okay, no. Now adding my signature onto each. And finally, I'm gonna seal these with, okay, we're just gonna completely ignore the actual wells of the palette. Alright, makes sense. I'm gonna quickly apply the varnish onto each of them, and boom, here is the final set. They look just how I pictured them in my head. I love the colors and how bright and fresh they look. They're just such a sweet pair. Ooh, I see that. Love is in the air. Are they kissing each other? Oh, seashell love.
It's intense.
Okay. Alright, so next I'm going to work on these 3. That's right, it's another set. So bring in the paint. It's gone. Who stole my paint? I'm gonna mix up some rather unique colors here. Notice the addition of brown. Each color just got a little nugget of poo. And that's what's gonna make these colors more muted and desaturated, which is what I want. I know it's shocking. Actually, they still look pretty vibrant, but you saw me, okay? I added brown. I tried. And I'm just gonna paint each of these shells with each of these 3 different colors. Wonderful. Here they are, looking very, painted. So now I can just plop on the designs, plop, 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 and we'll start with you. The theme for this set is woodland creatures. So who do we have here? Oh dear, it's a deer. The woodland creatures on a seashell makes no sense. Maybe if I were painting on rocks, that would kind of go. But for seashells, I should have been doing sea creatures. But the problem is I didn't want to paint sea creatures. I wanted to paint woodland creatures. Maybe I'll paint some rocks with sea creatures on them later. For now, here's my deer. What is that black spot? Oh, okay. Well, next I'm going to paint this little dude. He's supposed to be a skunk. I started painting him gray. Skunks are normally black, but I wanted his facial features to still be visible, but that was far too light. So I'm gonna mix a deeper gray and go with that. Now this skunk really is the inspiration for the entire set because of Frank. Frank is our backyard skunk. Okay, literally, he lives in our backyard. He didn't actually have a name until just now. I just made it up. We've only seen him once, but we've smelled him multiple times, okay? Frank can stank. It's unfortunate that skunks do that thing where they spray funky fumes out of their wherever. I don't actually know. Is it their butt? I don't know. So this is Frank, and I love him. But at this point, he was definitely missing something. So I tried extending his smile. It was a terrible, terrible mistake. Tried to fix it with some highlights. That's just no. Let me go over that and try again. But then, of course, I had to add all this nonsense and make it look weird again. He looks like he's old, but I thought I could deal with it. So I tried to move on to the next one. No, I can't deal with it. Here's Frank again. I went through one last round of adjustments, got rid of those weird gray eyebrows, and there, that looks much better. And for the last woodland creature, I chose a hedgehog. In general, I paint a lot of animals, but I did try to choose kind of different animals than are typical for me this time, which made it kind of fun. And here's where I decided to film from this weird angle and block my painting with my hand. Don't panic, I'll give him the spotlight moment very shortly here, and we'll get to see him. After varnishing all of them, boom, here is the full set of woodland seashells. That sounds so weird because it makes no sense, but I really like how it came out. It's a slightly different kind of vibe than my typical. I mean, they're still cutesy, but more subdued colors, and I've never painted a skunk before, so that's new. And now for the last shell. This was actually kind of a spur of the moment thing. Does this look familiar? How about now? I was just gonna use this shell for the thumbnail, but that felt like a waste. I just spread the paint all over the shell. It was a lot of paint that I used for that thumbnail. I'm getting it everywhere, just wiping it all over my hands. That's cool. Okay. Once that paint dried, I had to come up with an idea for this. Since it is very pink, I decided to go with like a girly theme and create this kind of frilly feminine design. I went with a nice big light pink bow smack in the center of it, give it some cute little details, make it look, nice. It's already adorable. Add a bow to anything and it looks cute. Then I added a string of little white pearls kind of flowing and swirling all around the shell, going places. I didn't really know what I was doing here, but that actually ended up looking pretty cool. So I tried adding a little bit of like cartoony detailing to make them look a little bit more dimensional. I'm not sure how well it worked, if they really look like pearls, but I tried, and that's the important part. Finally, I added a little white string through them to make them look like a string of pearls, and then I decided to draw some little string bows around. I don't know why. Why would there be little knots tied in the string throughout? Did someone literally tie a bunch of short pieces of string together? I just felt like this needed some more details, and so that's what I did. I added my signature and threw on a nice glaze, and here is the final shell. I'm quite pleased with how this one came out, especially considering I was just kind of making it up as I went. It's actually pretty, except in there.
Don't go in there.
Well, that's all the seashells that I'm going to paint for this video. These were all just a little different. They're all nice, welcome additions to my painted seashell collection. is my lovely collection of seashells that I bring back year over year. This one is big and ugly. This one is very spiky and... Hey, what about this one?
Nope.
Okay, not even gonna consider it. That's kind of nice. No? You're not?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Surely this one is just the perfect shell.
Yes, I found you.
Nope.
But no, it's not that one either. Here's where I stumble upon my bag of mini shells. And you know what? I've never painted a shell this small. So small. Not a single one. You know what? I think this will work splendidly. I've made my seashell choice, and it's small.
Yeah.
But don't be underwhelmed, okay? I have big plans for this little shell. First step of my plan involves laying out some very poorly ripped parchment paper. Use some scissors, man. That's okay. I'll tape it up and make it all better. I've zoomed in so you can't tell anyway. I'm bringing out a bunch of clay. I had some extra laying around from the time when I totally overcompensated for a recent loss in front of everyone. That's fine. Don't worry about it. This is called magic clay. I'm not sure that it's really that magical. I mean, it's cheap. Magical? Debatable. You're probably not gonna make any masterpieces with this stuff. Even the examples on the box are of questionable quality. But it's fun and it's easy to use. I'm gonna choose a few random colors. Oh, this one's already open. Did it dry out? Oh, okay, good.
We're still fresh.
I'll take it. So here they are. You're wonderful, but get out of here. Make way for sketchbook. This is where my ideas go before they become an actual thing, like a sketch.
Yeah.
Just look at all of these ideas. Not that one. What is that? Not good. Don't focus on that. I know you're looking. Stop looking at it. Okay, so I'm gonna plan out my idea for my first seashell project. Did you forget what video this is? It's painting on seashells. So due to the sea-ness of the shells, I decided to bring in my favorite sea creature. That is a baby seal. So my idea is to make a seal out of clay to hold the seashell, which I will paint on the seashell and the clay. But okay, first I'm gonna need to figure out how to pose this seal. I want her to be like sitting up. How can a seal sit? I guess that's what we're doing. That looks interesting. So bringing back the clay, popping all of these open. Oh, we got a stubborn one. You know what happens to people like you? Stab, 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 stab. And pull it out, gutting it. Getting a little violent over here. Now I'm just gonna work all of this clay together. Kind of satisfying. Once the clay was all mixed up, it's turned into this stunning color. I call it barf with a touch of poop. It's my favorite color. So let me start working it. Oh, geez. Oh, man. And it's poop with a hole. That's actually kind of cute. It's like a little poop cottage.
I'm so dumb.
I'll stop talking about poop now. Somehow, I have to get this to this. Okay, no problem. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and oh, yeah, perfect. Exactly. What is... Oh... Honestly, I'm scared. Okay, I'm not that confident in my clay abilities whatsoever because I don't really have any. I'm very much so still new to all of the sculptivities, and so don't over-expect here.
I know nothing.
I'm just trying to use my fingers in this goo to make it look like something. Also, I'm using a buttload of water to smooth everything out because I think that helps. After a long while of messing with it, I got it to look roughly like it should, kind of. It's a similar species. So now, looking real sweaty, I'm bringing in the baby seashell. A baby seashell for a baby seal. And I'm just sticking it in there for her to hold. And then just going through and fiddling around with anything I'm not happy about. I kind of enjoy the little belly folds that are happening over here. So I actually ended up trying to emphasize them even more. And finally, I've gotten it to a point where I'm just gonna let it live and do its thing. It's gonna take some time for the clay to harden. It's okay, buddy. Take your time. Do your thing. And after 2 days, she's still not dry. 2 days. Can you do your thing a little faster? So finally, after day 3 of waiting, the clay does seem to be ready. So it's time to go ahead and paint this thing after I try to catch it. Of course, we're painting my little baby seal bright white. Why didn't I just use white clay to start? Why did I use poop colored clay and then paint on it. Because, friend, I didn't have any white clay. Hello. This is future me coming in while I'm editing this. I just need to address lies. Said I had no white clay. Yet, what is this? It appears that I did have white clay, but I didn't have enough to finish the whole thing, so it didn't really matter. That is all. Just a couple of coats of white paint, and there we go. We are looking fresh, my girl. Now, I'm breaking out my metallic paints. It's been quite a while since I've used these. Here's a paint palette. Let's get a little red paint. Oh, that's not paint. What is that? Oh, gosh, yuck. Let's try that again. There we go. That's red paint. I don't know what that was. And I'm just gonna mix a couple little special colors that aren't already in this set. I'm gonna use the metallics on the seashell because I wanted to make this seashell very special, okay? It is small, yes, but it is the most special of the specials. So of course that means rainbow, duh. For the face, I'm quickly sketching that out. I'm gonna give her some nice, strong, rosy cheeks. She doesn't have much depth to her complexion currently, so I feel like this might help. Now, the thing about this seal is that she's very sensitive. She found this rainbow shell, I don't know, in the ocean. Imagine that. And when she saw it, she noticed that it was so beautiful that she was instantly moved to tears. Just the beauty of the shell. It's so beautiful. I already said that. She's getting really emotional, and you know what? That is how you're meant to feel when you look at rainbow. It is meant to make you feel like this. Now I'm getting emotional. The rest of her body seemed so plain, so I added a bunch of little colorful stars, freckles, whatever. I guess the shell's beauty affected her so deeply that she suddenly sprouted rainbow freckles. Sure, that makes sense. Doesn't that happen to everyone? Yeah. So here is my final creation. I honestly love her. She needs a name. If I didn't already have a Shelly, I would name her Shelly. But it makes more sense to have an emotional, sensitive name. You know, something like Evangelina Diamithis. Well, how about Celia? Yeah, that's it. Celia Evangelina Diamithis. But we can just call her Celia, okay? Moving on. I want to keep a good thing going, so I brought back my bag of mini shells. And I found these in there, which are so unique. I remember seeing them last year, but I really couldn't think of a way to decorate them that was interesting enough on their own. But with this new concept, I have a perfect idea for these. I just need a couple more tiny ones to make it work. Tiny number 1, tiny number 2, tiny number 3. Okay, got it. So right into the clay. Let's pop that out. You know what? These are kind of cute containers. Seems a shame to just get rid of them. Maybe I can use them for organizational purposes. Is that hoarder-ish? It's not like me at all. All right, let's get everyone out. Everyone evacuate. Now it's my favorite part. I'm going to mush all of these together. I did a little twist, you know, just trying to make something of this experience. Oh, wow. Wow. It's so beautiful. Ended up with this kind of muddy periwinkle color and down with the parchment paper. I'm going a little differently this time. I'm making
Cupcake.
Ew, why is this kind of dirty? That's embarrassing. I'm gonna stuff the clay inside of here using it as a mold, round off the top, and then ping, my cupcake is ready. Now that my clay is in the shape of a cupcake, I'm adding a little paper cupcake liner to the outside. Now this may look familiar. I actually used this exact same technique for making clay cupcakes in one of my art things to do when you're bored videos. This is my own technique that I invented. It's actually not that clever though, so there's really no need to brag. I'm gonna take another clump of clay. Time to make my special recipe. It's really complicated, so please watch. You take the clay and then you take the water and then you just kind of put it on the clay. Special recipe. I thought mixing some water into the clay might help to soften it up even more, which is going to make the next step easier. I'm stuffing my special recipe clay into one end of a piping bag, and here we go. Out the other end. Kind of works opposite of the human body. You put mashed up mangled clay into one end, and then the other end comes out beautifully formed frosting. While for us, you put beautiful formed frosting into one end, and then out the other end. Anyway, that's quite enough. I'm going to put this to the side, and with this hunk of clay, I'm just going to form it into a nice ball. Bringing back all my pieces, it's time to combine them. The ball goes on top of the cupcake, like so. Then the frosting goes around the ball, and then, it's a weird alien cupcake thing. I'm adding some ears on top, smoothing those down, and then I'm adding some little hairs coming down. We've got a bangs situation now, kind of cute. And then I'm adding a bit of a mane going down the back of the head. There we go. To finish it off, this is going to be a unicorn horn. Who saw that coming? And then I'm adding the little tinies around the horn. You know how unicorns often have like a flower crown kind of thing? I thought it might be cute to do seashells instead. I mean, yeah, that looks okay. The back is a little maybe a nice paint job will fix it right up. First, we gotta wait a good 3 days before this is ready to paint. Good thing I didn't wait until the very last minute to start filming this video, because we could have been in a little trouble. So here it is, nice and settled. Everything's good and stuck. I just want a nice clean slate to start out with. So once everything is covered in white, it's time to decorate. Starting on the cupcake liner. Once again, I'm going metallic with this. I went for kind of a mermaid type of color scheme. This project is kind of a mishmash of ideas because I wanted to do the unique shell, which right away when I saw it, I thought unicorn horn, but I just finished with an animal sculpture. Wait, do I call this a sculpture?
I don't think so.
I feel like it's not really on that level. Maybe it's more of a clay thing. Yeah, it's a clay thing. I just did an animal clay thing. So I thought, you know, let's do maybe like a unicorn cupcake, but then that doesn't really have much to do with seashells, and after all, this is a seashell painting video. So fine, okay, I'll add a bunch of little mini seashells on top, which makes this a sea-themed unicorn cupcake. So I've stuck to very mermaid-esque colors for the liner and the frosting, and I'm gonna keep that going for the mane as well. So it's all gonna be nicely coordinated. And now it's just a matter of adding layer after layer after layer to this. Metallic paint is very pretty, but it's painful. It's very thin, and so it takes a lot of layers to build up a strong color. Went for a very nice normal cupcake color for the cake part. You know, we don't have to make everything cray-cray. Just let's go neutral here. And then for the topping, or the headpiece topping, whatever. I tried 2 pink seashells, gold for the horn, and then 1 gold seashell, but I absolutely hate that. No, rejected. I changed the gold seashell to purple, and somehow that little change really calmed my nerves. Now it's time for some little touch-ups around, just fixing all the little messes that I've made, and the final details like the inner ears and the little unicorn eyelashes. And there we have it, the completed under the sea unicorn cupcake, which incorporated 4 different seashells. Now, I know you guys were expecting this video, and you probably weren't expecting me to do it quite like this. It wasn't really the typical seashell painting video, but I really hope you're not disappointed because I really had so much fun with these, and I don't know, I feel like this was a good way for me to get some new ideas out for painting seashells. Alright! I want to start with my most basic of ideas. I have several ideas to do in this video in my special little noggin, but I want to start with the most normal one. Don't want to scare you too much. So we're going vanilla. Actually, it's more like
Fishy watermelon.
now I've scared you. Stop. For this first idea, I need to find a nice large flat shell, and I actually hate the feel of dry, unpainted seashells. Ugh.
It's chalky and so gross.
I don't want to spend too much time digging around in this because I'm about to hurl. So this'll do, okay?
Yay!
You're perfect. But actually, you're not perfect at all.
You're ugly.
We need to fix this. I'm starting with a nice fresh coat of gesso. Fun fact, I'm actually running out of gesso. Even with all the painting that I do, this massive container is massive. It has lasted me like a year. It's been around for so long, I feel almost bonded to it. It's just about time to let you go. Anyway, applying a nice white layer of gesso over this shell, it's gonna give a better starting point for the painting that I'm gonna do, which I already have a vision for, okay? It is in fact going to be Burial. Who dat? You know Burial, that random character of mine I painted like 4 years ago and nobody ever saw again. And she is floating in a watermelon inner tube. Why? This may seem kind of random, but actually it is quite a little bit random.
Okay.
I'm gonna start by painting the background, which will be the water in which Burial shall floateth. Here's the thing. I've hinted around about this a couple times in my videos lately, but I am currently working on a very large project project behind the scenes right now. Oh gosh. Currently, I'm in the phase where I feel in over my head and I kind of regret ever starting it at all, but I've already put way too much time into it to turn back, so... I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm scared. You will get to see this project when and if I ever finish it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I will say burial is a part of it. Not a huge part of it, okay? I'm not making a 10-foot burial statue or something like that, but I recently crossed paths with this girl because of the project that I'm working on, and bringing her back just made me feel like, you know, I kind of forgot about her, and she's kind of like underrated. Like, I feel like she's kind of nice. And I thought a seashell would just be the perfect place to bring her back. She's a bear with the heart of a fish. What does that even mean? She is a bear, and she is happy being a bear, but she just likes doing fish things, like swimming around, and I guess that's really all fish do. You will never see her outside of her fish costume because this is how she's most comfortable. And in her defense, it does look quite comfortable. Why the watermelon inner tube? There's a story for that. Mini-Me may be doing some swimming this summer, so I decided to let her pick out an inner tube to use in the pool, and she happened to pick out this watermelon one. Now, did I lead her to pick out this watermelon one? No, I didn't, and I just thought that this was so cute. So I made my own version of it for burial to use. One thing I did forget about painting on seashells, because it's been a while, just how freaking difficult it is to get clean details with all those blasted little ridges fighting so much texture. Now, I thought that I was basically done with this, but then I started thinking some really just deep thoughts, as one does while creating a painting such as this, about Burial's costume. Her orange fish costume feels so familiar. Why is that? Oh, of course, it's Orange Fishy. Looks just like him, right? Is she dressed like Orange Fishy? I mean, kinda. So, enter the fish. I decided to bring him into this, okay? He's just gonna be popping out of the water just to say hi and to quickly cast judgment on the imposter. How dare she upstage him like this? She's not even a real fish, but yet she is the focal point of this painting, not him. There's some unresolved tension there. I mean, Burial has no clue, but the resentment is growing for Orange Fishy. You can just feel it. I applied a nice thick clear coat over the entire thing, and here is the final shell. I had a lot of fun painting this one, and it actually came out better than what I expected, which is kind of rare. I really took my time on it, and I think the style of the painting is just really cute. This was a great start to resuming my seashell painting project. Burial and Orange Fishy, frenemies forever. Now for my next project, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm ditching the bigs and going in for the mini shells. I want to pick out a couple that are calling to me because once again, I have a very specific idea that came out of nowhere, but also somewhere, and I'll explain it later. These are some of the shells that I picked out. Wait, what? Those aren't even the shells that I used. Whatever, you get the point. I'm gonna put these to the side and start with my clay. That's right, we're sculpting, and I'm gonna start by sculpting this fat blob. Whoa, wait, I misspoke. It's not a blob. It's not a blob. It's actually an octopus. Ew. Wait. It gets better because it's not a regular octopus, okay? Its tentacles are small.
I don't like it.
Okay. Recently I did a massive blind box unboxing video, and I got this Squishmallow, and I didn't know what it was. It's supposed to be a Dumbo octopus, which is a sort of mini octopus with stubbier tentacles and Dumbo ears. Don't really like the Squishmallow. Sorry, I'm still a big fan. But I kind of think that these creatures are adorable in a really ugly, slimy, creepy, deep sea fish kind of way. So I've decided to create my own Dumbo octopus character, and so I'm smoothing out each of the little mini tentacles. Oh, aren't they so cute? I'm not really into tentacles normally, but oh, to incorporate the seashells, I just kind of shoved them onto her head. They kind of seem like an afterthought at this point, but they are not. Okay, they're very important to the storyline. Let's just wait. There she is with her little tentacles and her little seashells. She's so complete, except that I forgot her ears. Her Dumbo ears. How is she to be a Dumbo octopus without her Dumbo ears? Several hours later, I realized my mistake. You can see she's already begun to dry. That's fine. I came back and added the little Dumbo ears. Whew, okay, I can breathe now. It's all fine. Once the clay had completely dried, which took just a quick 4 days, I used some puffy paint to just kind of shove into all the crevices between the shells. This should both secure the shells on a little bit better and make it easier to paint.
It's my patented method.
Well, patent pending. Okay, no, you can't patent using puffy paint. Then I noticed some little rough spots on her body, so I grabbed a sanding stick and just tried to smooth out those areas a little bit. Once the dust has settled, and I mean literally, I'm taking out my strawberry and I'm going to paint her, the Dumbo, in this beautiful pink because, yes, this is a Dumbo octopus, but I'm not going to go with the natural color of, ew, is that even a color? What is it? Okay, I have seen them in yellow too, which is fine, but still, what about pink? Then I wanted to spice it up a little bit, and so I added orange onto the bottom, and I just kind of blended that up the tentacles. That's cute. It's a little gradient thing, and I added a touch of it to the Dumbo ears as well. Finally, it's time to address the shells, and we're gonna get interrupted here because I painted one orange and then one like that, and then boom, it's a little clay poop flake jumping in and out of nowhere. Poop flake. No, it's a cherry. I wanted to fill that spot in the center of the shells because it was weirdly empty, so I stuck a cherry in there and just super glued the little stem in place. Yeah, resume painting. The cherry may actually seem out of place here, but it's not, because all of these shells are actually fruits. They're just pretending to be shells. No, that's wrong. They're shells pretending to be fruits, and a bear pretending to be a fish, and an inner tube pretending to be a watermelon. What's the deal here? Is anyone in reality? Anyway, I wanted to make all of these shells fruit themed. I wanted to give my little cha-cha girl here one of those big fruit hats. She's a performer, so like she's gonna wear one of those fruit hats. What even are those? I realize now that I'm trying to explain it that I have no idea what those actually mean. But you know how you see the lady dancing with a hat made of fruit? This is her. This is that lady. She is the under the sea Dumbo octopus form of the dancing fruit hat. This idea is getting weirder the more I try to explain it. Her name is Cha-Cha, okay? She is very special. Each of these shells represent a different fruit, and if you can't tell what fruit they are, I'm offended. We've got an orange, we've got watermelon, a strawberry, and a mango, plus that rando cherry. Finally, it's time to address the face, and though the Dumbo octopus is naturally so expressive, I think I'm just gonna take it up a notch because Cha-Cha is a high energy girl. She is a performer, so of course she's got very exaggerated facial expressions going on. Maybe she's in mid-performance right now. Someone recently scolded me for not using sponges for rosy cheeks, so I'm trying it today. I'm not sure if this is the kind of sponge that I'm supposed to use. It did kind of work, but also I'm probably doing it wrong. It felt a little bit like just clumsy, so I had to use a brush to get in there and clean it up. Couple little last touches, and here is Cha-Cha. Aha! I love it. I love it. Okay, she, I think, is a pretty unique character. Yes, she's cutesy, and there's fruit, which I do a lot of, but with the shells and the fruit hat idea and the Dumbo octopus, I don't know. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like this was a really fun combination of ideas, and I'm just really happy with how it all came together. I love the color scheme, and I think she's just adorable. Oh, she's gonna perform for us. Shh, stop, let's watch. Okay, well,
I was kind of expecting more, to be honest.
no, yay! That was so good. Okay, bye, Cha-Cha. Next, I'm going for this little brown shell. What kind of, it's conch? No, cockle shell? No. Kind of looks like a hermit crab shell. I don't know.
I know nothing.
I'm starting with a white base coat on this and then moving straight into some very vibrant colors. For this one, I had kind of a fun idea. I wanted to make this shell look like it came from the Nofologian shores. If you've never been to a Nofologian shore, don't feel bad, because Nofolophagous is my made-up alien planet that I like to pretend exists. Occasionally, I create characters, landscapes, or objects that are a part of Nofologian culture. So I use some of the same color schemes that I've used for past Nofologian stuff. It was turning out kind of cool. I kind of liked it at this point, but you know, it is just blended colors. I mean, it's simple. Too simple. right? So of course I had to keep adding. I wanted it to be more detailed, so I added all of these little dots around. I feel like this is so just typical painted seashell, okay? And it looks very generic to me. And Nauphilophagus is not generic, so I thought, let's do more. Okay, I added some random splotches and smudges of color. This one is definitely a big meh. Maybe I need to redeem the idea next year. I just need a good 12 months to think of something better, because this design is kind of boring. It's just not my favorite, okay? But it is a shell and it's painted now, so whatever. On a higher note, I think the other two are some of my absolute favorite seashell creations I've ever done.
That is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!